Hello, I'm Katie Woods. I'm a director in our Global Corporate Reporting Services team. Today, I'm starting a series of weekly updates to give you an idea and some glimpses into what's happening in the global sustainability reporting world. There's an awful lot going on. So we look to bring you updates from what the International Sustainability Standards Boards will be looking at, and also some of the content that we'll be issuing to help you deal with all of these changes from the ISSB. So to start with this week, I thought that I'd cover the Transition Implementation Group, which will be meeting in mid-late November, as well as a submission that was put into the IFRIC, the International Financial Reporting Interpretation Committee, about the interaction between net zero and the financial reporting standards. So let's start with the Transition Implementation Group. This is the first meeting, is on the 21st of November 2023. Within the meeting papers, it looks as if there'll be discussion on the protocols or the approach that this Transition Implementation Group will use, as well as opportunity for the members to get to know each other and also to highlight their own implementation issues that they've been seeing. The group is made up of a small number of people from practice, from accounting firms, and across the world of sustainability reporting. And so the output will be really important to determine how implementation of the international sustainability standards will be taken forward. Looking at the protocols behind the Transition Implementation Group, or the TIG as it's referred to, it looks and is clear that the Implementation Group will not be issuing guidance or conclusions on the implementation of the standards. What they will do is either transfer the submissions from stakeholders, and anyone can submit to the TIG questions, so they will take those questions and determine whether the question should be answered by an interpretation of the standards or educational material or perhaps new standards. So, as I said, not providing actual implementation guidance at the point of discussion. The other area I wanted to highlight was the submission that came into the IFRIC, the International Financial Reporting Interpretation Committee. Get it wrong every time. In this submission, the submitter is asking whether a net zero commitment, so something that would be made usually in a sustainability report by an entity, would lead there to be a constructive obligation on the part of an entity, leading to a provision. The accounting standard IAS 37 that covers provisions, contingent liabilities and contingent assets is the standard that's compared with those net zero commitments. And the papers prepared by the staff, having looked at the submission, which is actually really long and includes a number of examples, goes through a number of steps, looking at whether contingent liability exists, a provision exists, and indeed whether it will be appropriate for an entity to record an asset for the costs that would look forward to getting an entity getting ready for that net zero commitment. The overarching summary from the papers that have gone to the committee is that as that net zero commitment is at a point in time and looking forward, it doesn't seem that there's actually a constructive obligation, or indeed certainly not a provision, because there's no obligation based on a past event. It's all future looking. And so as a consequence, the suggestion by the staff is that no provision should be made. And indeed, no asset would be recognised for the related costs going forward, because any of those costs incurred are likely to lead to an asset being recognised on the balance sheet, be that property, plant and equipment, so updating PP&E, or indeed carbon credits or other assets that will be bought to address that net zero commitment. So there's a long paper that it's well worth looking at, but in effect, I think what it does is to highlight that as companies start to report in a more structured way, in line with the sustainability reporting standards, and the need for that to be aligned with financial reporting standards, it is likely that there will be a lot more interaction between these different bodies and the different questions that are coming out. So that's my quick weekly summary for this week. Look forward to updating you next week, and look out for our next weekly update. Thanks very much for watching.